Tánaiste, you would agree that it is crucial that the public have confidence in the Garda Síochána, as they are the main protectors of the state. Proper policing is crucial to any democracy and to the safety of our communities. The majority of the force just want to do the job, and that's what they took an oath to do. And indeed, many have lost their lives in carrying out their duties. Unfortunately, there has been a series of critical reports about management in the Gardaí in the recent past. While there has been a lot of spin about how the force is being reformed, there is very little actual evidence of whether these reforms have made any difference. This reform seems to hit stumbling block after stumbling block. The Garda Representative Association and the Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors have threatened to withdraw their services for 4 days in the month of November, as they believe their pay has been far too low and their grievances have been left for far too long. This has caused total demoralisation of the Gardaí. To add to these woes, the recent reports of how whistleblowers were allegedly treated has added yet another potential scandal. You received information under the protection of disclosure legislation, and you have said that you are taking it very seriously. However, in the meantime, confidence in the Gardaí is being allowed to drift and drift. There are allegations and counter-allegations, and the Garda Commissioner is saying she was not privy to nor approved of any actions designed to target any Garda who may have made a protected disclosure, and will condemn any action. The Taoiseach told the House yesterday that a member of the judiciary may be appointed to investigate the allegations. Yet today, we read in papers that the Gardaí who made the allegations may not take part in any investigation unless the Commissioner temporarily steps aside. There is another report today as well that a senior Garda is going to demand an inquiry into the force over the dysfunctionality of the Garda Síochána because of perceived system and management failures. Tánaiste, it is hard to see beyond the saying, "There's something rotten in the state of Denmark." Do you understand the genuine concerns about the state of the Gardaí, and that they go way beyond political soundbite and headline grabbing? Have you been informed by the two complainants that they will not take part in any inquiry into the allegations unless the Garda Commissioner steps aside even temporarily? If this becomes a demand, will it be considered? And finally, have you been informed about the request to inquire into Garda administration because of dysfunctionality, and will you be agreeing to this request?
And Tánaiste, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Las Concorda. It may be helpful to the House if I attempt to put the events of recent days in context. Deputy, I do agree with what you say about the importance of the role of Garda Síochána. They confront many challenges, as we've discussed in this House on many occasions, and it is extremely important that nothing undermines their ability to keep our communities safe. And it is right to acknowledge, indeed, some of the successes they have had, which have been evidenced by recent events and recent crime figures. They've had successes in doing that, and they are the first line between the public and criminal elements. But for all of their strengths, I certainly, in this government, in the last government, have recognised that fundamental reforms were necessary. You've outlined some of the challenges, indeed. And again, to put in context some of the reforms that have recently taken place. An open and independent process for the selection of the new Garda Commissioner, strengthening the role of GSOC, an independent review mechanism, the Freedom of Information Act extended to Garda Síochána. We've had various inquiries, and the former President of the Circuit Court as an independent oversight authority. Now, we also have had the Protected Disclosure Act of 2014. Much of the public comment this week has been based on the fact that two members of Garda Síochána have recently made disclosures, which in fact I received last Monday. A fundamental, and this House passed this legislation, a fundamental protection of the Act is that I must protect the identity of those making the disclosures. This has led to the situation that various claims have been made publicly about what those disclosures contain, and I simply cannot comment on their accuracy or otherwise. That's the reality. That's the law. The limits with what I can say in this House, it limits what I can say in this House, but I intend to scrupulously follow my legal obligations in this regard. And I would say it is vitally important that the claims of people making such disclosures are properly addressed. But we do have to do it in a way that is fair, that is proper, and that is just, and is within the rule of law. It would be a very cruel irony if a system that was introduced to deal with wrongdoing led us in turn to do wrong to people. Everyone is entitled to their good names unless it can be fairly and objectively shown that they have been involved in wrongdoing. And that is why what is important, and I would say to this House, what is important is that a procedure is put in place so that such claims can be properly assessed and the people, the subject to such claims, have a chance to respond to them. I have been, as you rightly say, consulting with the Attorney-General as to how to best achieve this, and there will be no delay. I have clear obligations under the Act if I am the recipient of a protected disclosure, and there will be no delay in putting in place a process to achieve it.
Thank you, Tánaiste.
Let me just conclude, Cathaoirleach, by saying I do not believe that it is right for anyone to rush to judgment about these matters. It offends all the principles of fairness for conclusions to be drawn on the basis of claims against people which have not been properly tested, or where people who have had claims made against them have not had a chance to tell their side of the story.
Thank you, Tánaiste. Deputy McConalogue, you've got 1 minute.
Tánaiste, I would agree with you that it's important that process is properly followed and people are given the opportunity to account for themselves and to respond. However, it is important that we do see action and that these matters are dealt with you as promptly as is possible. And it would certainly seem to be the case, Minister and Tánaiste, that over the last number of years there has been a gradual and very real erosion in terms of the morale of Gardaí and indeed in terms of confidence both within the force and with the public. And indeed, there seems to be a general dissatisfaction and disgruntlement in terms of how the force is being managed. Now, I asked you previously, Minister, if, as in the reports today, that the two complainants who are making very serious allegations, if they have indeed informed you that they would not be willing to participate in an investigation if the Garda Commissioner remains in place. Is that the case? Have they informed you of that? And if so, Minister, what is your response? And also, Minister, I asked you in relation to further reports today that a very senior officer in the Gardaí is going to seek an inquiry in relation to Garda management and administration.
Thank you, Deputy.
Have you been informed of that? Are you aware of that? And if so, Minister, what action have you taken?
Thank you, Deputy. Tánaiste, 1 minute.
I've seen the reports in the media about the points that you have made, Deputy, but what I put on the record of the House are the facts that I have received. The protected disclosure notices which I received on Monday. The Government hasn't yet made a decision in relation to the precise process we will follow. It's been considered as I speak. It's been considered urgently and it will be done in a timely way. And no, there hasn't been contact.